Hello, hello. Welcome to Tech Ascent, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Clingain. I'm also the founder of Ascension, the premier business development partner within tech. Today, we're joined by Paulo Rossetti, the founder and CEO of Regnum Ventures. Paulo, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Oliver. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. It's great to have you on. Would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do with Regnum Ventures?
Sure. All right. I'm Paulo Rossetti. I'm originally from Brazil. I went to school in DC. I went to Georgetown University, also American University, and I spent many years working for multinational corporations. So I was doing restructuring divisions in Latin America for Brinks, the global transportation. So I was very used to transfer technology from one country to another. I was always into technology. I never studied that in school, but that was like I was born with that. So technology was a big background for me. Like I was a big interest, but also finance because I need to restructure divisions. And I used to work for Brink, so logistics was a big thing. So in transporting money, cash, gold, valuables, that's a big deal. So like understanding the type of logistic that what takes in order to manage this type of logistics and fulfillment is a good background. So I afterwards I lived I was transferred back to Brazil. I worked there for maybe 7 years, and then I went to Peru, Lima, Peru, to restructure another business there. It was after I left the company, and then later I came back to the U.S. And my idea was to help companies to come to the U.S. because that was something that I knew how to do. So I was restructuring businesses, and I understood that a lot of the business that came to the US, they came unprepared. They came with the wrong strategy. So it was too late in order to restructure the business. Sometimes you just cannot save the business because with just too many years making mistakes, strategic mistakes. So one of the things that I tried to do, and they started 8 years ago probably, was to help companies come to the US, but through e-commerce platforms. So that was when I got involved with Wayfair. So Wayfair was the first platform that I used to work with. So they invited me that at that time, 8 years ago. Actually, I was a little bit longer. Maybe it was like 10 years ago. So like at that time, the technology, what we have today, didn't exist back then. So even like the whole concept of drop shipping, work with international suppliers, and especially for furniture, which is like everything that you're talking about. Like an item is large, so you're talking about a sofa, or you're talking about like big boxes or multi-box item. So it's very difficult logistics. So it takes a lot for the suppliers to understand how to work, and also for Wayfair. So they needed someone right in the middle who understood the whole logistics and also the e-commerce part. So it was like a perfect combination of my background, and they helped me to start the business. So the business that we have today in Regnum, it started like almost 10 years ago, and of course went through stages. So it wasn't Regnum back then. It was another business that was evolving and becoming a little more specialized until we founded Regnum. So Regnum today, we are mainly not we're not mainly Wayfair anymore, although we do Wayfair. But Regnum was born when we founded the company. We're a service provider for Amazon, so we're working with Amazon since the beginning. So they had marketplaces. Well, they still have marketplaces in Brazil, Mexico, and Brazil, Mexico, and Latin America. So they wanted us to help. the companies they were selling, like the big sellers in these marketplaces, to launch the sellers in the US. So Regnum was born to do that. Was with Amazon support. So we launched it in the past 2 years, over 70 brands in the US. So companies all over. So we worked with companies from many countries, Latin America, but also Europe, also Asia, and with major accounts too. So today we do have probably like 5 or 6 public traded companies that they're based in Latin America or another country, and they manufacture in 4 different countries, mostly China. So probably I think 80% of all the products that we import today, they come from China, Vietnam also. And then we do have production in Brazil, Chile, Colombia. We do have a base in Colombia and also Brazil. Mexico, we work with a lot of brands in Mexico, but our main focus is to launch the brands in the US. So after we launch the brands, then we grow the brand, and then we manage the operations over here when it start growing. So we start going to other marketplaces or other channels. So we do a lot of B2B. We do a lot of big retailers, nationwide retailers in the US. So we do work with supermarket chains for in segments. I mean, the we can work with any type of product, but the main ones I would say would be snacks, food and beverage, cosmetics, pets, pet supplies, pet snacks, furniture is a big market too. So I don't know if I jumped, said too much. So that was on this introduction, but it was I think I went over.
No, no, all good. It was a great breakdown, and it's awesome to hear about kind of your wealth of experiences across the board, working with some bigger corporations, international corporations. It's all cool to hear about. All good. And Paulo, we're working in such at a global scale, working a lot of different geographies. What's the kind of competitive landscape look like in that space?
uh, it's a tough question because we position ourselves as a as an agency for account management agency for Amazon in the US. So when you position yourself like that, so we have many competitors in the US, big agencies. Believe it or not, the market is not that big because it's kind of everything is brand new because everything changed so fast. But we know everybody because this market is very small too. There are a lot of competitors, but we're kind of friends because we everybody talks and we get together, so we know what each one does and what they're specialized. But when we get together and we see that like the best agencies in the U.S. They're very specialized in one type of niche market. They're very good, but we do something else. We're specialized in foreign brands coming to the U.S. They don't do that. So of course they can work with a foreign brand, but what they're concerned about is like, do you have your products over here? Have you nationalized your products? Okay, yes. So you do have your products over here, so we can work with you. We don't do that because 100% of our clients, they're not in the US. Get them when they start working with us. We start talking about how we're going to be launching the brand in the US. It's going to be through Amazon, but we got to start from the beginning, which is where's the production. So we do have a trading company, a logistic company. We do the freight, the containers. So we have like containers leaving Brazil every month because we consolidate the products in this one container, and just to make it more efficient, the transportation. So we do the whole supply chain, and then we have warehouse too. And so for an agency in the US, nobody has a warehouse because you don't need that. The client needs to hire the warehouse. That's like a concern that the client would have. But our clients, a lot of people, they think that only these small companies, they don't have the interest or the capabilities to have a company in the US, right? But that's not true, because our biggest clients, they cannot have a company in the US. Sometimes they actually do, but they're so regulated, it's so bureaucratic that in our business, we need to become their operation in the US. So for some clients, we operate, we have like a license agreement with them that we run the business in the US for them. So we become like the importer, the warehouse facility. We have to have a fulfillment facility too, and we become like the bank for them, because if they sell to a supermarket chain, for example, we need to invoice and receive the payment, and then we need to settle the payments back to the home country. So when you say who are your competitors, we have different competitors, but I don't see anyone really doing like the 360 degrees operations for this type of businesses.
Yeah, you're running your own race, so to say.
Yep.
And Paulo, of course, without the obvious answer of partner with Regnum Ventures, if there's companies that are looking to break into the U.S. market from elsewhere, whether that be Latin America, for example, what kind of piece of advice would you give them? And like I said, without the obvious of partnering with you, what piece of advice would you give them?
I think after launching like 70 brands in the US, they were like, in the beginning, we had to work with the Amazon managers in Brazil and also Mexico. So we could not really filter. That was like a big mistake in the beginning, by the way. We don't do that anymore. But it couldn't filter because we were like in a program that they were pressured. They need to launch all these brands. So we had everything. So when we saw who were launching, was a little too late, because, and then we understood who had the capability, who didn't. And it's not only that, who understands what it takes in order to break into the market. So it's not only about money, but it's about having the right mindset. It's having, knowing, aligning the expectations. So in order to come to the US, first, you need to adapt your product. So your product needs to be, I mean, you cannot, we hear this all the time. Oh, I'm very successful in my country, in my home country, because my product's so unique. Okay, but when you come in here, there's a reason that maybe your product is not well sold in the US, or it doesn't exist. Because there might be a reason for that. The businesses, they need to understand who is buying. The U.S. consumer. If you're a Colombian company, you cannot come to the U.S. only to sell to Colombians, because you're not gonna make any money. So you need to adapt your product to the whole market. It should take too long to understand that you need to adapt your product, and then pricing. You need to be very competitive. So you cannot come here thinking that the U.S., just because, yeah, there's a big, there's a huge market, they're gonna accept any price, because they're not. You have very smart consumers over here, and we have competition, very good strategy in long term. So you need to be able to invest. I want to come to the U.S., but I want to spend very little, and I think that I'm gonna sell millions. That's not gonna, it's not gonna happen. So in order to sell $1 million in the first year, you need to invest $1 million. So you need to be able to understand all this and to have a very good and clear strategy, long-term strategy. Because if we do everything right, and if we make all the adaptations and corrections throughout the process, in the second year is going to be very good, and the third year is going to be really successful. So, but we need to be able to communicate well and to work well with the companies. So that's why our work is very dedicated. So we have like a team that works with the company. Each client probably has three dedicated um, team in that project day to day. Because without that, you're not going to be able to manage and to grow. So It's a very time consuming. It's a lot of work, but it pays off in the long run.
Paulo, that's a great piece of advice for people trying to break into the U.S. market. Now, you being the founder, CEO of a growing business, what advices would you give kind of founders and executives? Or we can even frame it as if you could rewind the clock a little bit, tell Paulo Rossetti on day one of starting Regnum Ventures, what kind of piece of advice would you give yourself?
The basic ones, you gotta have a very clear strategy, and you need to be different. You need to be very innovative. You need to be really, really good at what you do. Focus on your quality, because without the quality, there's nothing. And in our market, which is like it's really ruled by technology. The things that we have today did not exist maybe 4 months ago, 6 months ago. So you need to be able to keep up. You need to be able to be on top of it. And my advice, at least mine, make sure that we have the right margins, because if you start growing without the cash flow, like really making money, not only investing. So if I have like investors backing up your business, and you're just investing, trying to grow, sacrificing your prices, and only looking at the long run, you're gonna die. You're not gonna survive. And so it happens until you get the right infrastructure, because your infrastructure has to be very robust. But money is not everything. So if I had a lot of money right now, I would not even invest in that money, because you need to have the right services. There are a lot of things that you have to do before you start really investing in growing your infrastructure. So everything needs to be 100%. Until you get that right, don't even think about investors or growing that fast, because you're not going to survive.
Even more wise words. And Paulo, looking forward with all of your experiences, all the wisdom you shared, looking forward, what's the goal for Regnum Ventures? What's on the horizon for you guys?
So the goal is that we're still in the stage that our clients, some of our clients, they're doing really well on Amazon. We're starting growing to other channels, and the next phase is to get more, to invest more in the logistics part and in the infrastructure, growing to other markets in the US. And we're launching a e-commerce platform for our clients too. So that's going to be our next stage. But we're trying to be very careful with that, because we could have done the past. But again, if you do it without the right products, without the right clients, the right partners, um, you're not going to be successful. So we feel that today we're ready. We can actually launch our own e-commerce, and then of course, to be able to help our clients whenever we notice that there's a client with a lot of potential. We're investing. We have a network with investors. So this product, this brand has a lot of potential. So pretty much our next stage would be to become more like a private equity um, uh, company investing in brands,
Hmm.
consumer brands.
Yeah, very cool. And it sounds like you guys are well on track to make it happen. And you even said it, you can't rush things like that. You gotta wait for the perfect moment to strike, and it sounds like you guys are doing just that.
Yes. Well, thank you.
And Paulo, that's all I got for you today. I really appreciate you coming on, and I know the audience does as well. I'll be sure to tag everything down in the description so people can check you out, check out Ragnar Ventures. But if you want to shout it out now, where can the people find you?
All right. Well, you cannot. You can come to website. So,
Tag it. I'll tag it.
okay, yeah, just tag that, because
Yeah,
I
no,
have
all
the
good,
website.
all good.
All
It'll be
right.
down in the description, and I'll also tag Paulo. I'll tag your LinkedIn so people can connect with you and talk about the podcast with you as well.
All right. Well, thank you, Oliver. It was a
Awesome,
pleasure.
awesome. And for everybody tuning in, thank you once again for listening. And Paulo, once again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.